While XDefiant's arsenal is far from, let's say, massive, every weapon in the game feels unique enough to have earned its place in the game. That's not to say though that there aren't some seriously good performers in the game right now that stand above the rest. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be going over some of the weapons that you've got to be using right now in XDefiant to get the most out of your games. So yeah, I've been putting some serious time into XDefiant already, trying out all the different weapons and getting them ranked up while the double XP weekend for weapon progression was live, and while I do stand by the opinion that XDefiant's weapons all have a unique enough character and things going for them to make them worth using, the 5 that we're going to highlight in this video just stood out a shade above the rest in my view. That's not to say that you can't keep using what you enjoy if it is something else, but man, if I was to pick 5 weapons that are the quote-unquote meta in XDefiant right now, it's these ones. I haven't even unlocked all of the attachments on these guns as of yet, so there's a chance they'll get even better with more time with them. I'll be doing proper weapon reviews and attachment guides for these guns as well, so make sure you get subscribed for that content coming very soon. But for now, let's start going over these weapons here. And well, quite frankly guys, we're going to start off with the MP7 here today. And look, I get it. Not a very shocking revelation here today if you played the beta of the game. You remember just how good and dominant this thing was for aggressive gameplay back then as well. I am pleased to report that the MP7 very much continues to be the king of CQC aggressive gameplay in the final release of XDefiant here as well. The MP7 sports an incredible damage output while also sporting very little recoil, incredible mobility, which makes it an absolute dream to operate. Given just how quick it is on its feet while also holding a damage output that lets you just blitz through opponents even if you are on the back foot, it's just a weapon that exerts so much pressure on its opponents, which in a game like XDefiant is incredibly important and lets you take control of the match in some very good ways. Now, the only real contender that this thing has in the SMG world at the moment is the Vector, at least in a raw damage output perspective. But the Vector's lacking magazine size by comparison sees it blitzing through ammo like nobody's business, which leaves you out to dry more than I'd care to admit. The amount of times I've been using the Vector only to be stuck mid-reload against an opponent is, well, too many times I can count on my 2 hands. The MP7 solves this problem by slightly bumping up the magazine size here while also keeping a very competitive reload speed as well, which in a game like XDefiant where the time to kill and bullet to kill thresholds are slightly higher, that's such a deal breaker for me. It gives you just that little bit more freedom to work with, which again is super important here. It's why the MP7 earns a slot on this list. Now, yeah, this one I feel like I'm going to ruffle some feathers on. Not because it's debatable that it's a good weapon, but because it might actually be a bit too good right now, and suggesting that more people use it is only going to make the game more frustrating for all of us. I'm of course talking about the MK20 SSR rifle. Look, don't shoot the messenger here guys, I'm just working with what I'm given. I'm sure you've all come across somebody using this thing against you in the game by now, and for that reason alone, you'll know exactly why I'm recommending it here today in this video. This thing right now is the closest that you can get to being the king of ranged combat without equipping a sniper rifle. It can, and will, confidently 3-shot targets to the body or 2-tap someone when headshots get involved. And even in close quarters combat with the right trigger discipline and accuracy, you'll completely outpace the likes of SMGs and assault rifles, which is just straight up wild to me to be honest. The magazine economy on this weapon is also insane. You can easily manage 3 to 5 kills here per reload, which is not something I can say for a lot of the automatic weapons in the game. Combine that with the stupid levels of alpha damage that are on display here, and well, you'll just wipe the floor with your opponents while using this thing, especially if they're damaged from a prior engagement. It does demand some patience and a change to your approach when playing the game, but once you master that, you're home to the races. On top of that, there's also a certain attachment that you can put on this thing that transitions it to a consistent 2-shot kill, even against body shots in CQC. No headshots required. That video and guide will be dropping at the end of the week, assuming no nerfs happen before then, so yeah, keep an eye out for that one. But alright, keeping this freight train rolling here, I want to put a bit of a highlight on what I can only describe as the king of consistency in this game. The workhorse that may not be the deadliest or the speediest in getting its job done, but by golly, it will always get the job done and rise to whatever challenge you throw at it. That, of course, is the ACR 6.8. And look guys, XDefiant is a game that doesn't typically sport the most, let's say, exaggerated recoils when you compare it to the rest of the first-person shooter space. XDefiant has been called a point-and-click adventure a few times, and for good reason. The ACR takes that to a whole nother level here, capable of laser beaming targets from absurd cross-the-map distances with little to no effort from yourself to actually control the thing. There is seriously nothing that puts a dumber grin on my face in this game than pointing and deleting a pesky sniper across the map with said ACR. It brings a tear to my eye almost. But nah, if you're someone who is struggling with the gunplay of XDefiant or prefers a slower approach while also having somewhat decent mobility that comes from using the assault rifles in the game, I can't recommend the ACR enough. Where it does falter slightly is in its raw damage department, as we kind of hinted at before. It doesn't quite have the same DPS that you'll see from other weapons in the category like the MDR, M4A1, or even the AK-47. And that means that in straight up scraps, it will suffer and you will likely lose. But if you utilize the accuracy to work on your crosshair placement and go for headshots, your benefits will be twofold. An insanely improved time to kill on the ACR alone, and also an improved skill that will translate to all of the other weapons in the game, that being crosshair placement on headshots. But enough about the ACR. I have something to ask you all. Have you ever been in a situation where you've taken 1 or 2 enemies out, only for a third to make an appearance the moment you try to get a reload in? Of course you have, we've all been there, and it always happens at simply the worst time. It's like Murphy's Law. What if I had told you there was SMG in this game that removes that struggle entirely? One that still sports an incredibly powerful time to kill and presence as a frontliner weapon, but didn't have magazine issues. Well, allow me to introduce you all to the P90. The P90 is iconic for many reasons in the gaming space, but in XDefiant, its combination of a 50-round magazine and speedy mobility stats is what puts us up among the best here. While it doesn't quite live up to the time to kill prowess of the MP7, it makes up for that by being able to maintain the pressure even when multiple targets come into the picture. As we have said before, the time to kill and bullet to kill of XDefiant is higher than normal, which means that an extended magazine like this one affords you so much more flexibility in dealing with that surprise bad guy that you always are bound to face. The amount of times the 50 rounds from the P90 has simply saved my bacon is too much to count, and having that while also being able to manipulate some incredibly quick movement is just insane, and it really lets you control the game in your own way. Honestly folks, with the P90, if you end up running out of ammo mid-fight with this thing, then you simply overextended or something. It ain't the gun, that's a skill issue on your behalf. But if you're an aggressive player who sees themselves biting off more than they can chew regularly, then this may be the answer for you in the long run. Which brings us to our last weapon for the day, and I've got to be honest folks, this last addition to the list here is one that took me by surprise, let me tell you. When I first jumped into XDefiant, being the movement schmoover kind of player that I am, I took one look at the LMG section of the game and went, absolutely not, I want to stay fast, damn it. Well, the day prior to recording this video, I picked up the M249 for the first time, and it was almost as though my third eye opened, like I started to smell colors, I started to see the truth for what it really was. I became enlightened to the fact that I was, yes, sleeping on an absolute unit that the M249 is. You know how I was talking about the P90 earlier, right? And the fact that, you know, its 50-round mag helps to reduce the pressure of reloading, that sort of thing. Well, how about you just, you know, never have to reload in the first place, right? That sounds pretty bloody good to me, honestly. And that is what the M249 brings to the table. A need to never, ever, ever reload 9 times out of 10. And to be honest, guys, it's incredibly entertaining watching 2 blokes try to push you, only for the third guy to try and do the same, thinking that you'll be reloading or something, and then he's met by a hail of bullets. It's even more hysterical when the 4th guy shows up, but, you know, it's a 6v6 game. We've got to kind of, you know, temper our expectations here. It's just, in general though, such an amazing moment to witness the bewilderment of your enemies as you do this sort of thing to them. And on top of that, the M249 still sports an incredibly potent damage payload that feels consistent above all else, almost on par with the degree of consistency that you would see from, say, the ACR, only this time you've got 100 rounds of damage to deal before needing to take some downtime. The slow end reload when you do get there eventually, and the slower mobility speed that the M249 brings to the table, does demand a slower playstyle by comparison, but there is just something so satisfying and even tranquil about taking things a bit slower with this gun, moving around the map at a slower pace, and just gunning so many people down back to back without them expecting it. Don't sleep on this thing, guys, seriously. XDefiant is a fast-paced arena shooter, yes, but there is a lot of success to be had here with the M249. But folks, that right there is my list of what I would consider to be the must-use weapons in XDefiant right now. But now I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. What are your top weapons in XDefiant? Do you think I got it wrong with this list? Do you have another suggestion entirely? Let me know down below. I want to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please consider backhanding the like button, as it does go a long way to supporting the channel. And if you're new here, consider subscribing whilst you're down there to stay up to date with all the videos we've got coming out. We do a lot of FPS content just in general here, and it would be lovely to have you guys on our journey. But for now, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.